Day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Greatly Grant channel. In this channel, we are talking about the UAG grant updates and information, and also we are also going to be updating you on the TOBAT and IMF and other grant informations. If you are new on this channel, consider subscribing so that when next we publish our next video, you will be kindly notified. Thank you once again for having me on Greatly channel. Bye for now.
I'm so excited to have you here back in our channel today, and I trust you're having a more exciting day than ever before, especially after the much anticipated epochal and decisive meeting between our grant handlers and the government authorities. I'm here to give you updates of the outcome of the meeting, explicit updates and analysis of the meeting. Yesterday's meeting can best be titled Judgment Day. It's likened to a scenario where you are appearing before a judge and you don't know for sure what the judgment is going to be. So the grant handler were not actually sure of the outcome of the judgment. It was a decisive meeting to decipher if the UAAG country director, Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama, will disburse the grant as earlier projected, or it's going to be the reverse. But as you already know, in this world, people have learned to forgive each other. To err is human, but forgiveness is divine. So as the prayer of the masses cannot go in vain, it cannot always be sad news. So the meeting was quite tensional. It started with observation of past activities of grant handler, observation of the ills that has been committed by certain factions, certain authorities, those contents that have been published by the supporters of this grant handler, different camps, different factions with content that either incite or divide or even blackmail the authorities. It has always been a mystery or a controversy on disbursing a grant where you have not gone outside of the country to attract. I've seen on some certain WhatsApps and Telegram groups as the hypers are stating that the money was handed over to Apostle Ambassador Ken to disburse. And you know that sometimes you don't need to speak just to make people feel good, feel happy. Hyping in the ecosystem has endured since 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, and these hypers should be tired of this activity where they keep hyping their grant handlers and nothing actually comes forth. You rather celebrate when you see the alerts rather than celebrate because there has been a decision taken to your favor at the end of a decisive meeting between the government authorities. Was money handed over to Apostle Ken yesterday? The answer is no. Money was not handed over to the grant handler for disbursement. It was purely a meeting that decides if certain factions of grant handlers will partake in the disbursement. So money was not handed over, but Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama was recognized or accepted as one of those authorities that will disburse this grant to the masses. And I will give you a detail of the conditions surrounding this acceptability by the government authority on the side of the UAAG. Therefore, it's not quite important for the hypers or the foot soldiers of this audience of grant handler to come into the ecosystem and start hyping, celebrating as if the money has dropped into the account of the grant handler. The money cannot be dropped into the account of the grant handler if the money is not going to be disbursed almost immediately. This is Nigeria. The government cannot entrust trillions of naira into the account of non-governmental bodies. Please take note. And you already know that Wednesday is Democracy Day, a public holiday. So on what condition can the authority transfer these trillions of naira into the account of the grant handler when they know today bank will not engage in distribution of these funds to NGO accounts? This money will only be transferred to the account of the grant handler if it is going to be disbursed within 24 hours. In fact, if the money is delivered or deposited into the account of the grant handler within the next 3 hours, distribution must commence. And if for any reason there are conditions surrounding this disbursement which the hypers or the foot soldiers don't know, if for any reason that this grant handler for their internal fisticuff refuse to transfer this money, if it is deposited into the account within 3 hours or 24 hours, the money will be confiscated or freezed in the account and returned back to the covers of the government, because it's a threat to national security, leaving trillions of naira into the account or hands of non-governmental bodies, civilians. So money was not dropped to the account, but there was good news for all grant subscribers. We are getting there. Be mindful of those association of hypers currently running amok in the grant ecosystem, circulating content merely to astonish themselves and their own audience. We can best describe them as nagging housewives. They are too intense to these activities of hypers. When I mean hypers, I'm talking about those with content that you will see saying Postal Ambassador Ken Wakama has defeated them. I told you nobody else can disburse this grant except Postal Ambassador Ken Wakama. Palliative is good, but grant is much better. Be mindful of this audience of people. They are targeting two critical underlying intents. One, these are the audience of people who have extorted the masses, used different names to collect millions of naira from the masses, promising them grants that they don't have, promising them millions of naira, and at a certain time they were being told that the money is not going to be millions as they speculated. Then they started being attacked by these people they extorted the money from. Now they are hyping again for those factions that are saying palliative is good but grant is bigger. They are trying to bandage those wounds of those that they promise billions and they know they don't have the millions to give them. And again, they are opening another avenue for more extortions, more selling of bundles, more selling of slots to this audience of gullibles NGOs. Be mindful of this hypers association that are sending this news of hyping with an intent to lure the unsuspected members of the public into their extortion nets once again. This is not a point for people to start celebrating publicly. Like the Bible has stated, it is time for you to close your door and go to your inner chamber and pray in humility to God to finish what He has started. At least for once, the grant ecosystem has finally gotten a clue and certainty of disbursement going to take place. I'm not saying you should not celebrate. Yes, if you subscribe for grants in the grant ecosystem, it's good to celebrate because at least you are sure you will definitely receive a lot after yesterday's meeting. But this celebration should be followed by a reflective and solemn prayer, a prayer for God to conclude His plan for the ecosystem. It is not a time for people to act like two nagging housewives. Normally, you know how nagging housewives behave. One will start singing some certain kind of chorus to ensure the other pick offense in it and they start quarreling. It's better to live on a rooftop than living inside a room with a nagging wife. They are trying to paint those pictures either to mock certain audience of grant facilitators It's a game waged always between the UAAG and the AGPGN. So all the activities of these people, those contents are targeting the AGPGN. Whereas this meeting was not a meeting between the UAAG and the AGPGN. It was a meeting between government authority and grant handlers. So why are they targeting the AGPGN with those jestful and mugging contents? I'm talking about the content that said palliative is good, but grant is much better. I told you Apostle Ambassador Ken is the only person to disburse this grant. Without Apostle Ken, nobody else. There's a particular one where Joyce Lovely is saying that Admin Elise and Ostas Dawood have finally been relegated to the abyss. These are all unnecessary and nagging content that aims to further aggravate the already tensional relationship existing in the UAAG and the AGPGN. We always know the truth in all this. The UAAG and the AGPGN did not travel out of the shores of this country to attract grants to disburse to Nigerians. That God decided to use them to alter the narrative, to change the struggling narratives of Nigerians. So it is not something any group member or foot soldier should take glory of if they have to be selected as candidates to partake in this generational destiny changing activity. So if I'm seeing the likes of Pastor Peter coming to mock AGPGN with their jestful content, I imagine what is pastoral in this content, in this behavior, when you said the God of Apostle Ken. So is God of Apostle Ken, not the God of AGPGN, not the God of every facilitators that ensure disbursement will take place. Sometimes we call ourselves Christians, but our behaviors and characters aren't Christian-like. What is Christian-like in the content published by Joyce Lovely this morning? Look again, what is pastoral about the comments of so many people in the Christian audience of these foot soldiers? You are actually giving your enemy more weapon to finish you with all this content. We were trying to let the sleeping dog lie, and you are again adding more salt to the wound. What's the point in it? Disbursement haven't started yet. What's the point in saying so many people are going to run away into their villages? What's the point in that? This is a purely administrative and official activity. The meeting was with government authority and the grant handler, not UAAG versus AGPGN. So why are you painting the scenario as if the UAAG has finally defeated the AGPGN? Why are we trying to sell ourselves out to the enemies out there? I know with the level things are, these grants, whether information is leaked or not, nobody can stop disbursement, irrespective of the category of information in their auspices. So that is outside. But it's important not to continue fighting each other. It's important not to make comments that will further create division or tension in the ecosystem when disbursement has not started. We keep re-emphasizing on the fact that if neither the UAAG or the AGPGN brought grants to the country, so what is the point of a certain member of the UAAG trying to parade themselves as the alpha and omega of disbursement? As Christians, we should not be making comments that create enmity more than friends around us. Are we here in the ecosystem to make friends or to make more enemies? So many of us do not come into the ecosystem with enemies. Why do you want to depart with enemies? Disbursement should be a common ground for reconciliation, not aggravating the tensional relationship already existing. So it's childish for people to speak in a way that further exacerbates existing tension in the ecosystem. Disbursement is going to take place. Everyone is aware of that. As much as all of us are aware, The government authorities decides the entitlement of every beneficiary of this grant, not anybody. In trying to say palliative is good, grant is better, what are you insinuating? In trying to say Apostle Ambassador Ken is the only one to disperse this grant, no one else, what are you insinuating? Pray for Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama, the king of grant ecosystem. What are you insinuating? Between Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama and the actual authorities who are saddled with the responsibility of ordering this transfer and disbursement, who are we to pray for even more? Between Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama and other grant facilitators, who are the reason why we come to where we are, who are we supposed to pray for even more? God is not a God of division or enmity. God doesn't take sides. Our responsibility on earth is to pray for everyone that wishes good for the masses, not to select who you pray for. Pray that God should take charge of the activity and ensure all the authorities and powers that are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring disbursement take place should be in good health until it's finally over. It's not Eureka yet. Why do we always embark on early celebration? It's always disastrous. Celebrate when the whistle has been blown at 90 minutes, not when you are just in first 15 minutes or 15 minutes of the game. We are not praying for anything to alter, but we are emphasizing on people not making comments that will further aggravate or create tension in this ecosystem. I will still remind you of the story. Apostle Ambassador Ken called for verification and screening exercise and said money will be delivered as people are screened. Thanksgiving was conducted. After 1 month, alert did not drop. After then, the AGPGN dig further deeper and discovered that there is money, but nobody's name is connected to it. They started a new journey of uncluttering this money and how to be able to disperse it to the masses. At a certain point, they were asked, who should we profile since this money that existed here did not come with any name on it? All these things are not new. They decided to profile Apostle Ambassador Ken. He was the country director. Somewhere along the line, things falls apart. And at a certain time, we were told that his name was removed. I believe even Apostle Ken stated it in one of the meetings, the last meeting, that at a certain time, Pastor John told him his name is no more in the document. And he said, okay, no problem. They continued. It is at that period where they said Apostle Ambassador Ken's name is no more in the document. It's the moment the grant ecosystem grew amok. Outrage and agitation was everywhere. Hell let loose. The audience and foot soldiers of both the AGPGN and the UAAG attacked themselves across the social media. We heard comments like, you said Apostle Ambassador Ken is in the document. Now why do you remove him from the document? Why do you stop disbursement? All these activities led to somewhere. Avenues of reconciliation. And that reconciliation took place yesterday. Apostle Ambassador Ken is recognized again as one of the authorities to disburse the grant. Is it a moment that you should come out again and paint those pictures? What are you expecting in all this? Let the truth be told. AGPGN are the forerunners of disbursement. The reason why the ecosystem is finally certain of receiving an alert. At a certain moment, everyone in this ecosystem should have retired home empty-handed, just like it has been happening in the previous 7-8 years ago. But God, in his infinite mercy, used them to locate Pastor John at the time all hope was lost. Even at the first part of it, there was no confirmation of money existing anywhere. But Pastor John was used by God to discover there is money through his friend, the AIG. AIG was able to connect Ajia to the picture. And these are people that help the grant ecosystem to be sure of disbursement at where it is. So when you keep painting the picture, leaving out the AGPGN, the same people that brings about physical authorities that guarantees disbursement. I imagine if you are a true Christian or a nagging housewife. So we cannot speak of disbursement without giving 100% credit to the AG